Hello. To accompany the presentation that I've sent over about Apprentice Makers, here is a quick whirlwind tour of the Apprentice Makers site so you can see how it actually works when you're on the site. Okay, so as you see when you get onto the Apprentice Makers homepage, this is live and all happening now. The biggest call to action is around joining the community. People can either join and fill out a form, which means that we gather a bit of information about them, and we find out what sector they work in, the size of their business, where they're located, etc., so that when they pop into the community, we have a bit more detail on them. Or if they're in a hurry, they can log on with social media, and that really is a fast-track way to get into the Apprentice Makers site. If they've requested one, they'll get sent a hard copy toolkit, which looks like this, which is a pocketbook and a bit more information about how they can develop their skills if they are keen on offering a bit of apprenticeships mentoring support to other businesses. Okay, what you'll also notice on the site, we try and get across why Apprentice Makers exist. So there's this video from Jason Holt, who is the Small Business Apprenticeship Ambassador, who talks about how businesses can support each other to progress the apprenticeships process. And we also have loads of case studies and blog articles, all really geared to help smaller businesses understand the apprenticeships process. We also provide a feed to our Twitter feed at Apprentice Maker, where we tweet lots of happenings from the Apprentice Makers community. So what's actually on the site? Well, as I mentioned, there's tons of case studies, and it perhaps doesn't get across on the front page how many case studies there are. We've interviewed loads of businesses since Apprentice Makers launched about their apprenticeship activities, all of whom give a positive account of how apprenticeships have really supported their business. And there's a little sort of snippet from each one as well, which gives you an idea of how we can also search for the case studies. There we go, that's one of the case studies. Gives you the snippet there, pops up as you see them as well. And as I was going to say, yep, you can search by sector as well there. In terms of blogs, we really try and focus our blogs on things which we think are going to be interesting to small businesses, or we use things that are happening in the apprenticeships world and we give them a small business angle. So, for instance, the new enterprise bill has just come out, and we do a short blog on what it means for small businesses, what changes are that are relevant to small businesses. We've done that with a few other things as well, with the apprenticeships levy and bringing older apprentices into your business and so on. We also cover news articles and things happening there as well. So it's a good place if you've got events happening or you've got something which is particularly newsworthy. There's an opportunity for us to include it in that. Another thing to perhaps draw your attention to is the Small Business Guide. So this is a guide that we created where we interviewed 5 different businesses and talked them through the apprenticeships process and how it worked for them. And then we interviewed the training organisations they work with and asked how they supported the business. And we took photos of them in their business and their apprentices. And then we used that to illustrate how people can go through the apprenticeships process. So it's a really useful guide for what you might need to know if you're approaching apprenticeships for the first time. Some useful resources in there, for instance, include questions to ask a training organisation, because many small businesses may not have considered that that is something that would help them choose the right organisation for them. And then also how to induct your apprentice in the business. So it's a really useful guide that's worth drawing people's attention to. We also have a curated list of videos. So these are videos that are on YouTube that are interesting for people setting up apprentices, and then we select them and they appear on the Apprentice Makers site. Within useful links, this is regularly updated and it links to sources of support and resources that would be particularly interesting to businesses that are approaching apprenticeships for the first time. It's not just a link to kind of general partners that we're working with, it's really just finding the most useful sources of info. And one thing perhaps to draw your attention to is a guide that we developed with the CIPD about employing young people and it's a step-by-step guide to taking on young people in your business and some of the HR considerations around that. So that's linked to from there as well. There are other resources on there. It's worth taking a look. Obviously, there's webinars there, and there's opportunities for people to develop their championing skills and their mentoring skills by doing a short online course on that area on the Apprentice Makers site. And as they complete that course, an Apprentice Makers champion logo appears on their profile. So that's something that a few people have taken advantage of. So going into the community, how does that work? So what you first need to do, if you've already registered, is you need to log in. And it says, welcome back. And you can then go into the different community tools. So there is Ask an Apprentice Maker, where people can post questions to other businesses, and businesses can answer those questions. There's a new one on there about induction plans, someone asking if people would be willing to share some of their induction ideas and plans with a business that's just recruiting people for the first time, so that's worth taking a look at. You can also join particular groups that are interesting. So as you can see, there's an AAN chair group. This is a hidden group, which means people that haven't been specifically invited to this group won't be able to see it. And this is an opportunity for people in this group to share resources. So there's a couple of the resources there, and to post information in the forum and to invite others to. You can also set it up so that you can choose how you get updates from this group. So it might be that every time someone posts something new, you get an update, or you can get a daily digest or a weekly digest and so on. So there's lots of different functionality around the groups. That's just the AAN group. But it might be that you choose to lead a group for your region, and that means you can be up to kind of admin level on that regional group. That means you can upload resources and invite other people to it and so on. So a good way to grow a regional group of businesses. Or you may choose to set up a group for your own regional ambassador network as well. So East Midlands has been quite active in this area. And so they upload with lots of resources that are relevant to their particular group's area. Again, that's a hidden group. So groups can be hidden, so no one else can see them. They can be private, so that people have to request to join, or they can just be public groups, which means anybody can join as long as they're a member of the Apprentice Makers community. So going into the directory itself, so what this does is it sorts people, when people enter, they can actually say whether they're interested in employing an apprentice or they've employed an apprentice. And that shows, and so if you're a business going in for the first time, you can choose people that are most relevant for you. You can sort by sector, by the role in the business, by the stage of the business, whereabouts you are in setting up the business, or whether it's an established business, the size in the business, and whether or not people have done the Apprentice Makers Champion online training. So I think there's only just a few of those at the moment, but we're looking to grow that area. And then you can also search by region, as well. As you can see, a few people have joined outside the UK. That's fine if they've got apprenticeships and they want to share them. And so you can search by location as well. Fitting all over the place here. So what you'll probably do if you put in, within a radius of where you were. So if you wanted to, if you're in the Manchester area and you wanted to find people in that location, you can search by that location. And they can search by list or by map. And then you can connect with people. So if you saw someone that you were interested in connecting with, you can go on and make a connection with them and send them an email. Okay, so that's my whirlwind tour. I'll send this along with the presentation, and then if you've got any additional questions about Apprentice Makers, please contact me. My contact details are also on the slides, and I'm happy to have a one-to-one discussion as well and answer any further questions about Apprentice Makers. Thank you very much.